The notion that the science on climate change is a lie to manipulate Christians is a misguided and unfounded claim. This argument is often rooted in the belief that climate change is a hoax perpetrated by governments, scientists, and other organizations to control people's behaviors and beliefs, particularly those of Christians. However, this perspective is not supported by empirical evidence and ignores the overwhelming scientific consensus on the reality of climate change. Climate change is a well-documented phenomenon that has been extensively studied by scientists from various disciplines, including atmospheric science, oceanography, and geology. The evidence for climate change is based on decades of research, including temperature records, melting of glaciers and ice sheets, and shifts in the distribution of plants and animals. The scientific consensus on climate change is clear. It is real, it is primarily caused by human activities, and it has serious consequences for the environment, human health, and the economy. The idea that climate change is a lie to manipulate Christians is often linked to the belief that environmentalism is incompatible with Christian values. Some argue that the emphasis on climate change is a way to promote a liberal or secular agenda that is at odds with Christian teachings. However, this perspective is not supported by the Bible or Christian doctrine. In fact, many Christian denominations and organizations recognize the importance of caring for the environment and see it as a moral imperative. The Bible teaches stewardship of the earth and its resources, and many Christians believe that it is their duty to protect the environment for future generations. The concept of dominion over the earth, often cited as a justification for exploiting natural resources, is frequently misunderstood. In a biblical context, dominion means responsible stewardship, not domination or exploitation. Therefore, Christians can and should be concerned about climate change and its impact on the environment, human health, and the economy. Another argument made by those who claim that climate change is a lie to manipulate Christians is that it is a form of secular propaganda aimed at undermining traditional values and beliefs. However, this argument is based on a flawed assumption that science and faith are mutually exclusive. Science and religion are not in conflict, but rather complementary ways of understanding the world. Science can provide insights into the natural world, while faith can provide a moral and ethical framework for interpreting and responding to scientific knowledge. The claim that climate change is a lie to manipulate Christians also ignores the fact that many Christians are actively engaged in efforts to address climate change. Christian organizations such as the Evangelical Environmental Network and the Catholic Climate Covenant are working to promote environmental stewardship and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. These efforts are based on a deep commitment to Christian values, including justice, compassion, and stewardship. In conclusion, the idea that the science on climate change is a lie to manipulate Christians is a misguided and unfounded claim. The scientific consensus on climate change is clear, and the evidence is overwhelming. Climate change is not a hoax, but a real and pressing issue that requires a response from individuals, communities, and governments. Christians, in particular, have a moral obligation to care for the environment and promote sustainability based on biblical teachings and a commitment to stewardship. Rather than seeing climate change as a threat to their values, Christians can and should be at the forefront of efforts to address this critical issue.